So, Congressman Byron Donalds dropped the sledgehammer on Tampon Tim. This is regarding the ICE arrest that the left or the Democrats claiming that that Trump is using the ICE agents as his own Gestapo, something like that. Tampon Tim, he tweeted those, and Congressman Donalds, Byron, is that how you say his name? Byron Donalds, trying to grill him.
Governor Walz, you've been sitting over there pretty quiet. I got a question for you.
I love to talk. Thank you, Congressman.
Fair enough. You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo. Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
What I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people away and giving...
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
Nobody said an inconvenience. You have a responsibility to deport illegal aliens.
Okay. They're going to go back and forth in that. And Tampon Tim, let's finish that.
And process right now. And let's be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally.
Biden
and this is a burden on all Americans.
Yes.
And so the president is doing his job.
Yep.
So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. I don't think it's apology. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Correct. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
Rates are much.
Yeah. So now, Tampon Tim said that Trump is using the ICE agents as his personal Gestapo soldiers. You can look it up. What does that mean? Byron Donald, Representative Byron's said it. He quoted about the Nazi Germany. Because that's their it has something to do with that. So again, Tampon Tim and his people on the side is labeling President Trump as a Nazi or Hitler like type of leader. So I want to break it down to what he said, because Congressman Donalds, Representative Donalds, actually, he kind of breezed over that, what Tampon Tim is trying to say. I think 3 points that he's trying to make there. I think I put it right over here. So he said, not identifying who you are. I mean, he meant the ICE agent, not when they were making arrest. They're not identifying who they are. 2, unmarked vans, or the vehicles that come out, they pull up with the unmarked vans, and he said taking people away. So those is it sums it up to like one process, I don't know if Tampon Tim is trying to be stupid, but FBI and CIA, ATF, and all the organizations, when they make arrests, they do this under, is it called covert arrest? And I put that on Grok and see what that means. What is a covert arrest means? Laid it out for you. Here we go. Right there. Okay? Is it illegal to do that? Is it illegal for ICE agents to show up unmarked vans, not identifying themselves right away, and taking people away? But taking people away is just all included with that. I don't know why he'd say that. So, covert arrest, not inherently illegal. So, right here it says there's no blanket prohibition on covert or plainclothes arrest by ICE or other federal agents, provided they follow legal procedures, which 99.99 they follow legal procedures. Might be some one thing that falls into a crack, but that's all the Democrats wanting waiting for, something like what happens to other arrests. That sometimes they make mistakes, or they identify a wrong man. It happens. I mean, if you're making 1,000 or 100 or 1,000 arrests, it's bound to happen. And they're gonna, and that's how they pick that one person and that one incident, and they carry it. That's like what happened with this. I think it's not a mistake. What happened to the Abrego Garcia, Kilmar, the Maryland man. The Maryland man. That's not what happened. But they thought that President Trump made it was a mistake for him to get deported. So anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm trying to do here is kind of point out what happened to the thing. Yeah, there you go, right here. Point out what Tampon Tim was actually trying to say. So, covert tactics may be used to apprehend individuals individuals deemed a public safety threat, especially if identifying themselves could jeopardize the operation or officer's safety. Of course, if you're arresting criminals they've known to fight back. Criminals that have history of they won't think twice of killing you, to evade or to escape from you, injuring you, anything like that. Do you think the ICE would say about 10 yards away? Would they call out and say, "Hey, this is ICE, I'm going to arrest you"? Of course not. They want to, just like how the FBI do, man. They do it in the middle of the night, covert. That's how they do it. What about identification? So not identifying who you are. So that'd be the second one is the same thing. The identification requirement. So it says here that federal law does not explicitly require ICE agents to identify themselves verbally or display badges during an arrest, particularly in exigent circumstances. However, ICE policy and Department of Homeland Security guidelines encourage clear identification wearing vests labeled ICE or police to avoid confusion. Yeah, just like those vests, you'll see ICE, DHS, ATF, so they can differentiate, or they know who they are, or what department they belong to. So just to avoid confusion, especially when interacting with the public. So let me pull this up real quick so we can. What happened here? Oh, there it is. All right. So, deceptive tactics. It's right here, right? ICE agents may legally use ruses, example, posing as delivery personnel or local police to gain access or apprehend individuals, as long as they do not violate constitutional rights. Courts have generally upheld such tactics unless they involve coercion or egregious misrepresentation that negates consent. Example, entering a home without a warrant or under false pretense. So this is where we are right now. So the Tampon Tim was saying about that constitutional rights, right? The constitutional rights. There's a difference between if you're a criminal and you're a murderer or whatever, or you committed a crime, you have certain rights. That's why they write you, or they, tell you your Miranda rights and all that. So this is what Tampon Tim was saying: violate the constitutional rights. But if you're an illegal here in the United States and you're an illegal alien, you're not a citizen. You have no legal status in the United States. Those constitutional rights that he's talking about does not apply. They might say, people a lot of say, oh, that's human rights, that's constitutional rights. No, that's not what it says in the Constitution. You know, they probably interpret it wrong. You know, just like how they keep calling this, you know, people across the border, those, you're calling them immigrants, but they're not immigrants. You know, they're illegal aliens. When I was 18, I came to America when I was 18 years old in 1993. You know, right on the green card that we had back then, it was called resident alien. You know, and people that you know, if you overstay your visa or you cross the border, you're not a resident alien. Therefore, you are illegal alien. So they're trying to change that word to an immigrant, so it protects it in a whole blanket of an immigrant, legal and illegal. You know, so when they, you know, trying to file a lawsuit, and of course it says on the Constitution about immigrants, those illegals will be included with that, which is wrong. That's how it's misinterpreted. Wrong. Especially the criminal illegals. Criminal illegals has to go. So Tampon Tim, I hope you watch this. See ya.